I've got to say, we are living in the weirdest timeline ever, and I feel like this article headline that I'm about to read to you is evidence that we are, in fact, living in a simulation. So, Newsweek reports J.K. Rowling and YouTuber Vaush spar over International Women's Day tweet. Yes, you heard that correctly. This is real. This is a Newsweek article about a Twitter fight between J.K. Rowling and Vaush. Now, I've got to say, having read through this article already and seeing this exchange happen in real time, Vaush low-key destroyed J.K. Rowling, and I don't usually like saying destroy, but he got her to say something so stupid. She thought that she would kind of own him by screenshotting something that he said in response, but she made herself look so unreasonable here. So let's read a little bit of the article, and then we'll get into the back and forth, and I'll tell you my thoughts on it. Matt Keeley of Newsweek explains, on Tuesday, Rowling shared a tweet that some users found transphobic. That day, the UK's left-wing Labour Party's Equality Shadow Minister Annalise Dodds said on the BBC Women's Hour radio programme that there were different definitions about what makes a woman. Dodds was speaking in a discussion about Scotland's gender recognition reform bill, which would make it easier for transgender people to change their legal gender. Someone please send the Shadow Minister for Equalities a dictionary and a backbone. Hashtag Happy International Women's Day, Rowling tweeted. Apparently, under a Labour government, today will become We Who Must Not Be Named Day, she added. In response, popular left-wing YouTube personality Ian Vaush Koczynski slammed the writer Tuesday afternoon. All J.K. Rowling had to do was shut the fuck up, and she could have been almost uncritically beloved for like a century, Vaush wrote. Women be quieter and start apologizing challenge. Now, he's very obviously being facetious. Vaush sometimes memes a little bit too close to the sun, but that's why we all love him. He's very edgy and he's entertaining. So he explained later on and during that stream that he actually didn't expect her to see this, obviously, because she is incredibly famous. Like a lot of YouTubers, Vaush shitposts into what you think is the ether, and he explained that. He didn't think she'd see this tweet. I oftentimes will just tweet at politicians, almost never expect them to see it. For example, not too long ago, I think like a couple of weeks ago, I tweeted about how Rick Scott looks eerily similar to a Titan, but I didn't actually expect him to see that and respond. And, you know, sometimes celebrities will see our responses and they'll block us. I've been blocked by Patricia Arquette, Meghan McCain, Neera Tanden. There's also some country star. He blocked me. I have never even heard of him. So, you know, oftentimes they'll see us and then they'll just block us. Rarely do they ever engage. But in this instance, J.K. Rowling actually chose to engage, and I really shouldn't say engage, but she tried to do a gotcha of Vaush, and she ends up saying something so stupid, I think that she has to feel embarrassed, right? If this were me, I would delete my Twitter. She compared what Vaush said to her abusive ex-husband. So she screenshotted what he said, and she responded by saying, "What you and your ilk fail to appreciate is how tediously familiar I find your tactics. I had a violent ex-husband who used to tell me life would be great if only I'd comply, but you're making the same mistake he did. Women like me can't be bullied out of resistance." Right, but in this situation, you're the bully. You're the abuser who's trying to silence trans people into compliance. You're your husband in this scenario, but yet she's trying to compare Vaush, who's sticking up for trans people, who she's attacking, to her violent ex-husband. You're the one who's the abuser here. Now, Vaush responded by low-key bodying her. He said, "Listen, Joanne, you don't get to play the victim card when you're the advocate for taking away women's rights here. Trans women are raped and killed in men's facilities, and you want to keep them there because of your trauma. Quit making your feelings other people's oppression." He added, complaining about how victimized you are when you're a billionaire being mocked for opposing civil rights is the height of crybullying. And he absolutely nailed it. I mean, it's so ironic that she would compare Vaush to her ex-husband, who's an abuser, when Vaush is sticking up to trans people, who she currently is abusing. She's using her gigantic platform, millions of followers, to advocate against trans rights. And, you know, she's not the victim here, as Vaush pointed out. She is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. She might actually be a billionaire. I don't know how much her net worth is currently, but I mean, this is someone in a position of power so advantageous that most human beings on this planet will not experience her level of privilege, but here she is, pretending as if she's this victim and she's getting bullied by Vaush on Twitter. No, you said something stupid, And people are sticking up for trans rights because that's what good people do. You're the bad person. You're the abuser here. Now, Vaush reacted to all of this in real time during his 24-hour charity stream for Ukraine. And here's his immediate reaction when he responded.
How does it feel to be living in the timeline where J.K. Rowling compares you to her ex-husband? I gotta say, I have absolutely no respect for people who allow their trauma to become other people's problems. J.K. Rowling has been doing this for like 2 years now, where it's like, well, I may want to take away people's civil rights, but when the people are mean to me in response, that reminds me of my abusive ex. I don't give a f***. Yeah, just go to therapy, lady.
Yeah, so there you have it. I tuned in. He talked about this a little bit more. He found out that Newsweek wrote an article about this while he was trying to beat Margit. It's the first boss in Elden Ring. Great game, by the way. That was a very entertaining stream. But yeah, it's so weird to see J.K. Rowling, one of the most powerful people, one of the richest people on the planet, respond to a YouTuber. Because, I mean, I'm also a YouTuber. So, oftentimes we will say things that we never expect people in power to see. But in this instance, it's so strange that J.K. Rowling chose to respond. And the way that she responded to Vaush was so unhinged, so weird, that it almost feels surreal. Like, it's difficult to actually believe that this is reality. She not only responded to Vaush, but she had the audacity to compare him to her violent ex-husband. Shut the fuck up, J.K. Rowling. You are what you used to hate. You are the abuser you once denounced. Sorry, but it's true. The way that you constantly demonize and vilify trans people who are fighting for their lives currently and their rights, it's despicable. It's abusive. It's violence. And you should be ashamed of yourself. But she has no shame. And she's going to continue to double and triple and quadruple down because she feels as if, I don't know, she's backed into a corner and she, there's no way out of this. So she just has to prove her point. But unfortunately for you, history is not going to go in your direction. We're going to go in the direction of justice. So shut the fuck up and stop attacking trans people, and people won't respond to you. But if you are going to say things about trans people, be unnecessarily antagonistic, we know how you feel. You hate trans people. We get it. But if you're going to take to Twitter to express your thoughts, your idiotic thoughts on trans people, then expect backlash.
I'm gonna come.
Do not come. Come.
Come.
Come. Come. Come. Come.